Howdy friends, how the hell are you? Quick little disclaimer at the beginning of this video. This is not a music related video. We are going to be talking about guitar parts today. Specifically, can I grab it? This is the Alnicov full floating multiscale guitar bridge. And why am I making a video of this thing? Well, because there is a design flaw with it, which means that you can't intonate a guitar that has one of these bridges on it. The rest of this video, we go through the details. I explain what that problem is, why it's happening, and what you have to do to solve it, because it is a very simple fix to get it up and running. So this is more of a public service announcement for people who might either have this problem or are thinking about getting this bridge. And also, I filmed the first half of this video on my phone a few weeks back before I got this camera. So the video quality is a bit crappy, but yeah, is what it is. So there we go, I'll leave you to it. Hopefully this video helps you, and more music stuff coming soon. So let's dig in. Right, I'm going to start with the biggest problem that this bridge has. As you can see, I've got it in parts here in front of me, and I've got it mostly disassembled. Brass block is there, base plate, and I've got two individual pieces, of which you can see an individual one there, exactly the same as what comes on the NK models, the ones I've already had. I've made a couple of videos of those before. You can go back and check them out if you want to. What we're going to be doing is basically fixing the intonation problem that these bridges have. So what do I mean by that? Well, the reason I've got two pieces on here is to show you exactly what I mean. If you have a look up close, I'm going to use my little Allen key here to point them out. This screw is holding on this piece, and this screw is holding on this piece. This one can't come any further forward, and this one can't go any further backwards. And you can see, if I use that as a line, there's about a 4 to 5 millimeter gap between there. That gap is a complete dead space across the whole length of the bridge. If your guitar, the bridges, if the bridge pieces need to fall within that space, well, you're shit out of luck, my friend. You can't do it. Reason being, if I catch the light, this hole and this hole is all that's there. There needs to be a hole here and here, and there and there and there. So there should be 4 holes, really, across each of these. Now what I'm going to do quickly, I'm going to take these off. I've taken them off, and now I'm going to try and catch the light so you can see where all the holes are. In fact, I wonder if I can flip it. Yeah, so there you go. So we got this big long run across here, and another run of holes there. You need a second run of holes here, another row of holes here, 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 in line with the 3 main ones. Those 3 main holes are what screw on there. Drilling holes into this thing is not going to be a problem. However, it's not exactly easy to do that. Now what I have done, I literally went onto Google and I searched metal fabrication and metalworks in my local area. This sort of job is not difficult at all. Pretty much any metalworking facility that does CNCing and metal fabrication of any kind will be able to help you. Very, very easy. It's going to cost me about 50 quid to get this sorted out, and what I'm going to be doing is, like I mentioned with the holes, I've literally asked them just to drill a whole bunch of holes. There's like 7 or 8 of them I'm going to get done. The one and last issue is by far the easiest to resolve, and that is about this, the arm. So here is the bridge piece. That is what goes in there. Now obviously I've taken it off on this occasion. So I'm going to quickly show you the way this works and what the issue is. On the end here, I don't know if you can see that. Where's the camera? Is that going to focus? Anyway, that little black bit at the end of my Allen key is a tiny little grub screw that goes in here, and I'm going to put it in there before I lose it, because that would be typical. Basically, that screws and tightens and goes into that cavity like that. Let's unscrew it a tiny little bit, and there it goes. Now, that's on your bridge, and you can see it just kind of free floats around. Tighten it up, and all of a sudden, it ain't going anywhere. But that's the problem. There is not any kind of plastic or rubber gasket on the inside of here, like a little plastic ring or rubber ring of some sort, for that grub screw to push into, so it's metal on metal. And that is not a good thing, because I've barely tightened this. It's just enough to grip it. I've put no effort into it whatsoever, and it's locked it on tight. And the second I move it, it's completely free floating the whole time. The guitar I'm trying to emulate when it comes to this, which is the best trem I've ever used, was on a JP7, and it has a system where you push the arm directly in and it kind of locks on, similar to the way a guitar jack does, and it kind of hooks on with like this spring-loaded like little lip of metal, and it can free float, and you can pull it around and let go, and you can flick it with your fingers and it will go to wherever it kind of goes to, and it will stay there, and you can just grab it and bring it back round. You cannot do that with this when it's metal on metal, because it's either on or it's off, and you kind of need a midpoint to do that, and you don't get that with this. So this is my solution. I got this from a company called FU Tone in America, and it is a Floyd Rose push fit. Excuse me. It is a Floyd Rose push fit trem arm. It's pretty much identical to this one, the original one, but it has that one key detail. You can probably hopefully see just on the inside there's like 2 rings of metal happening there. Well, that middle ring isn't a ring of metal at all, it's a ring of rubber. That is the gasket that these things need. That grub screw on the end there pushes onto that rubber gasket, and that rubber gasket is what pushes onto this, which means when I push this in there, I install this, screw it on, tighten it up, and you are good to go. Now, that, loosen it off, and it will free float completely. Tighten it up just a little bit, which is how I've got it set now, it'll do this. This is what you want, because if you're playing, you can grab it and you can do all the bits and this and stuff, and it's all good. Everybody's happy. The second it's in your way, you just flick it and it's gone and it's out of your way. That is what you want as a player. That rubber gasket makes all the difference. And the fact that this bridge didn't come with it is a real shame. The fact that it didn't come with these holes drilled is actually unacceptable, because that makes this inferior. Fortunately, I'm a bit of a nerd and I just do modifications all the time to stuff. You know, I'm more than happy to tinker with things. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just get it drilled and tapped. So through the power of editing, it's now the future. And I've got my plate back. So let's have a look and see how the changes went, shall we? Now I'm going to look on the screen and see if I can catch it in the light. You can see all those extra holes that I've got on there now. Let me catch it in there we go. So we've got this whole big row. Let me use the Allen key here. This whole row here and going all the way across here. You can see it's kind of scratched up the front a little bit, but it doesn't matter. This is where the saddles sit anyway, so it's certainly nothing you are ever going to see. And hopefully you can see down inside there. I mean, it's really dark, so maybe you can't, but this is going to give a lot more freedom, like even to the point where those bottom ones can probably fit 2 screws in there to cover them both if I needed to now. So the fact that I've got that and the front, and on here where the actual further back action needs to happen, I've got all the options I'm going to ever need to do this. So things went well, and at least on my guitar, because it was a fixed bridge and it had a thinner body, the guys, when they were doing the plate for me, filed down the top of this, ended up taking 6mm off of it and re-drilled these holes so that I can still fit my screw plugs in there, and my springs in there even. And this is essentially ready to go now. So a quick rebuild, and there we go.